Hey friends, is Colin Chandler an early contender for Dunk of the Year? Is this kid going to be a big star for the Cats? Let's see the news, but first, subscribe to the channel and keep following the updates. The Kentucky Wildcats 2025-26 season opener left no doubt that Mark Pope's team enters the new cycle with renewed energy, confidence, and a rising star. The convincing 77-51 victory over Nicholls State served more as a backdrop for the real spectacle tonight. Colin Chandler's monumental dunk, a play that already makes him an early contender for Dunk of the Year in college basketball. The play happened at the end of the second half, when the score was already more than 30 points ahead for Kentucky. Chandler, with the aggressive instinct and confidence of someone who has finally found his place, stormed into the paint, faced Grant Sanders' screen, and exploded toward the rim with a finish that brought the crowd at Rupp Arena to its feet. It was a kind of play that not only seals a game, but symbolizes a change of pace, a statement. Chandler has arrived to be a protagonist, and the road to this moment has been long. The player is now in his second college season, but his trajectory is unconventional. Originally committed to BYU, Chandler decided to follow Mark Pope to Lexington after the coach was hired by Kentucky. His NCAA debut was delayed for 2 years due to a religious mission he fulfilled, a personal commitment that postponed his sports career but did not diminish his ambition. Last season, still adapting, Chandler had limited minutes, coming off the bench in 30 games and with modest averages. 2.7 points and 1.0 rebound in just over 10 minutes per game. But just one off-season under Pope's watchful eye was enough for the young player to become a standout. In the victory over Nicholls State, he recorded 15 points, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block, in addition to remarkable efficiency, 62.5% field goal percentage, and 57.1% three-point percentage. More than just numbers, Chandler displayed maturity and confidence, two indispensable elements for anyone seeking to consolidate a leadership role. Mark Pope, in his second year at the helm of the Wildcats, seems to have found the balance between intensity and identity. Last season, with 24 wins and 12 losses, already showed a team in solid rebuilding, but still searching for consistency. Now, with players like Chandler taking center stage, Kentucky presents a more dynamic basketball with a fast pace and precise execution, characteristics that have marked Pope's philosophy since his time at BYU. The new generation of Kentucky is beginning to take shape, and Colin Chandler stands out as a symbol of this transition. His dunk, celebrated by the entire Rupp Arena, wasn't just a moment of athletic exaltation. It was an affirmation of potential, talent, and a future that looks increasingly promising for basketball in Lexington. If the debut served as a sample, Mark Pope has a roster prepared to compete among the best in the country, and a player willing to turn every opportunity into a spectacle. News coming from the Kentucky basketball program brings a mix of relief and expectation to BBN fans. Coach Mark Pope, in his tireless pursuit of solidifying the team as a dominant force in the SEC, seems to finally breathe easier when addressing the physical conditions of two crucial players for the 2025-26 season, Trent Noah and Jalen Lowe. Both have fundamental roles in the roster, and their recoveries represent not only hope for the present, but also a validation of the bets made by the coach. The image of young Trent Noah being helped off the court after suffering an apparent ankle injury was enough to send shivers down the spines of Kentucky fans. Even more so because Noah, the Harlan County native who has become a symbol of resilience and talent within the program, had shown clear signs of improvement since the offseason. From the first summer workouts to the matchup against Nicholls, Noah had been praised by teammates, analysts, and Pope himself as an elite shooter in the making. His ability to hit three-pointers with near-metronomic precision had already been described as something different, a word Pope frequently repeats when talking about the player. So, seeing him injured right in his debut brought an added emotional weight to the atmosphere. However, Noah's attitude in the face of adversity reflects exactly what Pope has been highlighting for months: the unwavering mentality of an athlete who embodies the values of Kentucky basketball. Even when it seemed impossible to return to the game, Noah demonstrated determination by warming up before the second half, receiving medical clearance to return to the court if necessary. Although Pope decided to protect him, he didn't hesitate to praise Noah's courage and work ethic. "He's tough, isn't he?" Pope said, with a tone of pride evident in his voice. The statement wasn't just a physical acknowledgement, but a tribute to Noah's character, which seems to be shaped as much by his upbringing in Harlan as by the competitive culture Pope is building in Lexington. This combination makes Noah a special figure, someone who represents not only the present of the program, but also its future. While Noah continues to recover and solidify his position as one of the team's pillars, another key piece of the puzzle is beginning to fall into place: Jalen Lowe, the point guard transferred from Pitt, who arrived in Kentucky with high expectations, has yet to officially debut due to a partial shoulder dislocation. However, Pope revealed that there's a real chance Lowe will be in action as early as next Friday against Valparaiso. This announcement comes at a crucial time for the team, which is still searching for a defensive identity. Lowe, known for his court vision and playmaking skills, has the potential to unlock the multiple weapons a roster offers. His return, coupled with Noah's growing confidence, could be the catalyst Kentucky needs to operate at full speed. Lowe's absence so far hasn't prevented other players from taking on greater responsibilities, but it was clear in the game against Nichols that the team is still fine-tuning its gears. Denzel Aberdeen, another point guard who has faced minor physical issues recently, was a standout player in the game, showing flashes of his talent while attempting to lead the offense. However, the difference between having an experienced point guard like Lowe and relying on less tested alternatives is remarkable. A team's efficiency depends directly on its ability to manage the ball, create opportunities, and maintain fluidity in transitions. And Lowe, even without being in peak form, carries with him the experience and intelligence necessary to provide stability to the group. The current scenario suggests that Kentucky is navigating turbulent waters at the start of the season, but the pieces are gradually falling into place. Noah's recovery and Lowe's potential debut reinforce the idea that this team is far from reaching its peak. There are challenges ahead, undoubtedly, especially in a conference as competitive as the SEC. But the way these young athletes have responded to setbacks is promising. Pope has consistently repeated that building a championship team goes beyond statistical numbers. It's about developing mentality, confidence, and genuine connections between the players. For Noah, in particular, the journey is even more emblematic. From an inconsistent freshman to a rising leader, his transformation is a vivid example of the impact a supportive yet challenging environment can have on a player. Pope's words about him, being a Kentucky legend is different, reinforce a sense of a strong roster. In front of vibrant Rupp Arena, the team led by Mark Pope hosted the Nichols Colonels to kick off the 2025-26 season with a hard-fought but necessary victory. The final score of 77-51 might suggest a comfortable win, but the true story of the game lies in the nuances that unfolded throughout the 40 minutes, revealing both the weaknesses and the potential of this developing roster. The start of the game was anything but auspicious for the Wildcats. The team demonstrated alarming difficulties on offense, reflecting the same kind of disconnect seen in the preseason loss to Georgetown. Three-point shooting, so crucial in modern basketball, was erratic, and the team's rhythm seemed disjointed. Without Jalen Lowe, absent due to physical issues, and with Denzel Aberdeen still recovering from injury, the offensive play lacked fluidity. The absence of a point guard naturally capable of orchestrating the game became evident in the opening minutes. However, as is often the case with great programs, it was the defense that kept Kentucky competitive. Even without reaching its best offensive level, the team managed a 13-point lead at halftime. thanks to a defensive effort that began to take shape under Pope's guidance. This defensive improvement is not just a fluke, but clear priority in this new era. Last season, the Wildcats frequently found themselves vulnerable in transitions and open spaces, something Pope seems determined to correct. Against Nichols, we saw promising moments. Coordinated screens, aggressive coverage on the sidelines, and clearer communication between players. These signs are especially encouraging considering the challenging schedule ahead, including matchups against Louisville and other SEC giants. If the defense continues to evolve at this pace, it could quickly emerge as the core identity of this team. The second half marked a significant transformation in the Wildcats' performance. With Mark Pope's adjustments and greater player confidence, the offense finally found its rhythm. Three-pointers began to fall, decisive cuts came more frequently, and ball movement became more fluid. Denzel Aberdeen, though still visibly impacted by his recent absence, showed flashes of brilliance in assuming the role of primary playmaker. His presence on the court substantially alters the team's dynamism, offering teammates better opportunities as he seeks space to distribute or shoot. Still, it's clear that Kentucky needs Jalen Lowe back to implement this critical area of the game. He's the maestro this group needs to operate at peak efficiency. Furthermore, the mix of experience and youth on the roster brings both inherent benefits and challenges. Veteran players brought consistency in key moments, while the rookies are still learning to navigate the intensity of NCAA games. This chemistry, however, is something that tends to mature over time. What was evident against Nichols was that, even with occasional problems, there is enough talent to compete at a high level. The resilience shown in the second half, coupled with defensive commitment, suggests that this team has the tools to grow throughout the season. One notable positive is the mentality shown by the Wildcats after the final whistle. Despite the evident flaws, there was an atmosphere of determination during the post-game celebrations. This reflects Mark Pope's philosophy well, recognizing where there is room for improvement, but also celebrating small victories along the way. The message conveyed is clear. This team understands that it is at the beginning of the journey, and every step taken now will be crucial for future success. Looking ahead, the next game against Valparaiso represents another opportunity for adjustments before the big test against Louisville. With Jalen Lowe expected back soon and the continuity provided by the sequence of games, there is reason for optimism. This roster has all the pieces to form an impressive puzzle, from the robust defense to the multifaceted offense, as long as it remains patient and resilient in the process. The debut against Nichols was exactly the kind of game that defines the beginning of a season, full of ups and downs, but rich in lessons. Leave your opinion.